All right. We need to talk about something very serious in here. We have something coming up. We have a final. So I would like to talk about it, talk about some of the structure and how we're going to end the class here coming up. So because we have students online and on campus, there will not be an in-class final for those of you on campus, so everything will be online. So as for that final, let's talk about a few of the things that are on there. So there are 25 questions on your final. There are some true-false questions. The majority of the final, though, is these short answer, small essays, so be sure you write them completely. Do not cut and paste out of some website you find. So at the very top of the page, it'll say, any evidence of cheating results in a 0 on the test. So, and I hate to put that out there, but people will try to do things. So some of the things that are on the test. So this is not a comprehensive list. Everything that we have talked about is fair game. So make sure that you've kind of read through, you've looked at it. Most of these, though, are critical thinking. So yes, you might need to look up a few resources, but I'm really looking at critical thinking. How would you do something? So some things to look at. Wi-Fi security. We talked a lot about Wi-Fi, how insecure it is in some cases, how secure it can be, or what things we can do. So I would look at Wi-Fi. Well, while we're in wireless, we also want to you might want to make sure you know about Bluetooth. And remember, Bluetooth is not necessarily the most secure protocol out there, but it's pretty handy and useful. And now that we're getting additional, like the near field communication, so anything on that Wi-Fi, you might want to look at. You probably should brush up about what threat actors exist. So internal versus external, if I'm looking inside of a company, things like nation state versus people that are purely doing it for malevolent evil. They just want to cause havoc, to people that have ideologies. So look at the different motivations with threat actors. We talk a lot about policies. So there is probably at least one question that touches on policies in there. So not the most exciting part of this. We're not, it's not like CSI where they're chasing down somebody and zooming in on a picture 37 times to magically reveal detail in the fly's reflection or something. But those policies are what allow you to work with individuals, work with HR. BYOD, bring your own drink. Or BYO device, sorry. Bring your own device. So, think about BYOD. How has that affected companies? How has it affected you? Look at some of the items on that. There will certainly be a question about virtualization. So understand what it is. Make sure you can explain why it might be an advantage or a disadvantage, what the good points, bad points are of virtualization. So you might want to make sure you know what a bot is. I'm trying to just kind of pick out some things as I go through there. What is a bot? What can it be used for? IoT devices. We spent a lot of time talking about them. Probably a chance that those will appear. What is good about them? What is bad about them? What can we do to start looking at how to improve that? Multifunction devices. So printer, copier, scanners that seem to be popping up in offices everywhere. Why are they a giant security hole? You might want to research that a little bit. Why are they dangerous? Social engineering. Make sure you understand. And we just spent a lot of time on social engineering. Probably all of you are down at the bars now trying to figure out how to use social engineering to get free drinks. Disaster recovery, business continuity, those kinds of ideas that we recently looked at. Encryption. So I will not make you go super in-depth in encryption, but you should know the differences and different types of encryption. What is difference between doing a hash versus doing an encryption? What types of encryption are there? Things like buffer overflow attacks. What are they? How do they work? We always have this balance of security versus convenience. So you probably need to be prepared to discuss that a little bit. So I would look through things like your quizzes you've taken, read through the book real quick. It's this handy duty color guide. And of course, you're going to need to know at some point what are passwords. And passwords are, so in there somewhere you might want to include passwords or BS. So that one will show up. All right. Any questions about the test? All right, so you are given 2 hours to complete this. However, that clock runs continuously. You cannot do it 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. So once you start the clock, it's going to run for 2 hours. And then if the 2 hours expires, you can't log back in. You have to complete this by Thursday at midnight, or the clock expires on the final. So it is worth a significant number of scaled points, so make sure you look at that. All right. Other things of importance. If you have any work that has not been completed and you would like credit for it, I will offer partial credit up until May 2nd at 5 p.m. So that's Sunday at 5 p.m. The one caveat with that is you're going to have to send me an email with a list of everything that you've completed, because once I put a grade of 0 in Blackboard, I can no longer see, especially if it's something from Cengage, I don't have any way to know that it has changed or there's another grade in there. And so you have to send those to me. And then at Friday or Sunday at 5 p.m., those are then locked in stone, never to change again. So hopefully that is not an issue for most of us, but I wanted to make sure that we were aware of that. And if I don't see a list about them, it's very hard for me to do that because I'm not going to go through and look at every individual grade and click into it to see that. So it does take a little bit. All right. Make sure you post in this week's discussion board. There is a discussion board also for next week, kind of the roast the instructor. Some of you have already done that. The consensus is everybody hates discussion boards. I wish we had a better solution for them, but when we're asynchronous, we can talk about things here in our live class, but it's hard to get everybody together and try to find a time to do some of those. So, but if you have suggestions, please put those in also. I am willing to take all kinds of offers, suggestions, alternatives to Cengage or whatever we want to look at. All right. Any questions? No? All right. Going once, going twice.